Hey traders, it's Friday, September 27th. Hope you're all wrapping up a green week of trading. I just wanted to make this quick video to talk about one specific thing that happened to me today that probably happens to a lot of you, and it's super common. It happens to everybody. And that is when you have both winning and losing trades on the same day. Now, it's kind of a myth to think that everybody's always going to just win or just lose on the day, and that doesn't happen all the time. There'll be many days where you'll have a couple of trades that are winners, a couple of trades that are losers, and that's just fine. There's nothing wrong with that. The most important thing is to just make sure that your winners are always bigger than your losers. And that's exactly what happened to me today. I did 3 trades. I traded Meta and the Qs and the IWM, which basically is an ETF that tracks the Russell 2000 index. So IWM is to the Russell what the SPY is to the S&P 500 and what the Qs is to the NASDAQ. So basically what happened was I actually had losses on both Meta and the Qs today. I saw both of those tickers pop early on. I thought we were going to be green on the day. I got in long, quickly realized that was not the case, and I had to stop out for a loss on both the Qs and on Meta. And so because of that, instead of just saying, oh, well, whatever, I had a red day, I looked for other possibilities, and I saw IWM, I saw the Russell. And the Russell was doing something very different than what the NASDAQ and the S&P 500 was doing, and I took advantage of that. And I'm going to show you on a screen share here in just a minute exactly what I did, exactly what I saw, and why I traded it the way that I did. But the short version of this video is there's nothing wrong with having losing trades. Everybody has losing trades. The most important thing is, are you green on the day or are you green on the week? Because there'll be a lot of losing trades that you'll have, and that's just a part of trading. Like, that's a part of life. It's like I said in my book, talking about the greatest to ever do it, whatever sport you're talking about. If you're talking about Michael Jordan in basketball, Michael Jordan missed a lot of shots. He might be considered, the greatest of all time in basketball, but he missed a lot of shots. So you will have losing trades, and that's okay. The thing is, try to figure out how you can bring yourself back when you have losing trades. Now, I'm not talking about revenge trading, because revenge trading is when you let your emotions get the best of you. You never want to trade emotionally. You always want to trade very rationally, calm, cool, collected. You want to be ice cold when you're trading. So I'm definitely not saying to revenge trade when I talk about getting it back if you have a loss. What I'm talking about is using your price action analysis and your ability to spot trends to see if there's something else that you can take advantage of. If there is something else that makes sense to take advantage of, then take that trade and get back your losses. If there simply isn't anything else that you can take advantage of, then you might just have a losing day. And that happens too. I mean, everybody has losing days. I have losing days. You have losing days. It happens to everybody. But in this particular instance today, I had 2 losing trades, and I managed to stop out in time to keep my losses from becoming even bigger than they already were. I lost around $300 on Meta, and I lost about, I think, $65 on the Qs. But then I turned around and I spotted the Russell, and I ended up making $829 on the Russell. So, that's about a $450 profit in total. Even though I had hundreds of dollars of losses, I had $829 of gains. And so, I came out on top by about $450 today, which is great. That's putting me on track to making a six-figure per year income. And, that's the only thing that I tell you in my book and my courses is you can make six figures per year day trading in about 1 hour per day. And that's exactly what I did today. And, honestly, for me right now, today was a very small day. Most days I make a lot more than what I made today. That's what my average is right now. But I'm just trying to illustrate how relatively simple it is for you to pull in like $400 a day, even when you have losses like I had today. So let me go ahead and do a little screen share, and you'll be able to see exactly what I was doing today and what I spotted, and how you might be able to do the same thing in the future if the same thing happens to you. Okay, here we are taking a look at Meta from Friday. And I'm going to be pretty quick with this because it's really fairly simple what happened. There's nothing too complex about the way that the day unfolded. Basically, I just had 2 losing trades and I had 1 winning trade. But my 1 winning trade got me a lot bigger P&L on my profits than what my losing trades lost me. And so I'm going to explain how and why your support and resistance levels are so important, because being able to respect those levels and being able to spot not only entries but exits at the right time and then actually act on it when you see it, that's the thing that's going to allow you to be profitable. And that's the thing that's going to allow you to make money on days when you even have losing trades the same day. So let's start with Meta. This was the second half of the day on Thursday. This was overnight, and then this was Friday. So what I did was I took a look at where we closed on Thursday, right here, right around this level. And then I saw that we didn't really do much. We just kind of consolidated, not too much action up or down. There's no trend that was established whatsoever. And then when I saw this candlestick right here when we opened up, right here at 832, I got in with a couple of contracts right here at 832 because we bounced right off this 200 EMA. We had a slight uptick, not enough to make me feel like it was really going to take off or anything, but definitely enough with this slight upwards direction combined with the fact that we had a couple of red candles that fell pretty hard, and then we actually bounced off of the 200 right here at 832, made me think, okay, I'm going to get in with a small position. Got in with a real small position, just held it, came back down, and then right here at 837, I got in with a couple of more contracts, and then I was actually making money here for a couple of minutes, and I did close 1 contract for a profit, but then this happened, and we broke below the 200, and then once I held in for a couple of minutes right here. Once I saw that we were actually rejecting the 200 EMA on the minute chart, I actually closed my remaining contracts for a loss. So I did have a loss on Meta. And, that's how I did it. I could have kept holding all throughout the day, but remember, I had Friday expiration, which meant that I didn't have any time left. So every single minute that went by was melting me out pretty hard on my time decay. And so even though later on, a couple hours later at 11:30, essentially, we did climb up above the 200 once more, and then slowly kind of ground out a bit of an upwards movement. It was certainly not enough to bring back the amount that I had lost in this, first hour of the day right here. So the first hour of the day, like most days, is the most consequential part of the day. And, I played what I thought was the right move, and I actually did have some success right away. But then I stayed in a little bit too long, and then when this broke below the 200, I had to close my remaining positions for a loss. And that's how it worked out on Meta. Now let's go to the Qs, and you'll see that the Qs did essentially the same thing. Here's Thursday, the end of Thursday on the Qs, so take note of the level where we're at, right around here at about 489.5. Then we come up pretty nice run up right before the beginning of the day. One thing that had concerned me a little bit is I saw a bit of a double top action here. Not super well defined, but we've got this high right here, and then we've got this high a few minutes later that's a little bit lower, and it's definitely not a defined pattern. So the more defined a pattern is, the more confidence you can put in the predictability of that pattern. And this was not a super well-defined pattern. So I wasn't, I didn't have a lot of confidence that we were going to fall, but I did notice, okay, well, could potentially be a double top happening here. But then once again, same thing happened. First few minutes, we came right out of the gate, and let me minimize this a little bit so it's a little easier to see. You see these three candles right here. To me, when I saw this and then this, I thought, okay, we're going to bounce off this 200 and maybe take a little bit of a rise up. But I only got in with a very, very small position, nothing big, because again, it's Friday. I don't have any time till expiration, and I always trade smaller on Friday. So, I wasn't getting in with huge size, but I did get in right here. This failed, but I wasn't really super worried about it because it's, we just had that one candle that went below the 200, and then we came up kind of just playing around. Like I didn't close anything here for a couple reasons. My position size was really, really small. And so again, the larger your position size, the quicker you need to be on your exits if something is, not going your way, or if you're making profits. Because if you've got a huge position size and suddenly the price starts to turn against you, you do not want to get caught holding the bag, because you've got this giant position size and it's suddenly just, price just washed out on you, and suddenly you're holding a ton of contracts that are worth a fraction of what you paid for them. You don't want that. But I wasn't really worried about this at this point because I only had just a couple of contracts. It was a really small size. So I stayed in. Nothing really, not too big of a deal. But then when I got to right here, about an hour in on the Qs, I said, no, I don't have any more confidence in this, because we have basically a high and then a lower high, which had developed underneath the 200. So you see these two candles right here are almost mirroring these two candles right here. But the thing is, we've got a very identifiable downwards trend. And although the price was just sort of hovering and kind of magneting onto the 200 over here, by this point, when we saw this, price had distinctively moved below the 200 EMA. And then at that point, I didn't have any more confidence that it was going to turn back around on me. So I closed out for a loss on Q right around here. And so that's how I played that. So Okay, well that's a bad day, right? Two losing trades in one day. Well, your day is not over until it's actually over, until you decide that it's going to be over. And so I just, instead of just saying, oh, I'm going to shut it down for the day, I'm done, I looked to other possibilities, and I saw that other possibility in the Russell 2000. Qs and SPY was not doing good on Friday, but I took a look at the Russell, which is IWM, the ETF that tracks the Russell. So here we were at the end of the day on Thursday, right around this 219 area. We had this massive spike pre-market. And so I didn't want to do anything at the beginning of the day because I thought, well, there's big chance that we'll come down and fill the gap. And it did indeed try to fill the gap, but we only got to a certain point in that gap fill before it turned around. Once again, the 200 EMA is the thing that I'm looking at. And so the first, half hour of the day, I was basically pretty preoccupied with my Meta and my Qs trades, which were not working for me. But right here, this is where I really, really took notice of the Russell, this giant green candle with the huge lower wick right at 9 o'clock. And this is significant because this little plateau level right here that we had pre-market before the big run-up that we had right before we opened up was right at about the same level that the low of day had been so far on Friday. So we had this 852 candle right here, and then again at 9 o'clock, the lower wicks of this 9 o'clock candle basically just mirrored the low of day from this 852 candle. That, in conjunction with the fact that we had bounced off of the 200 and we had broken up above the 50. The alligator, although at this point had not started to turn, I had a really, really good feeling based on what I was seeing right here that we were actually going to turn around and make a run up on the Russell. And so this is when I got in on my IWM trade right at 9 o'clock. And I just basically got, a larger amount of contracts than what I would usually trade. And so I did kind of oversize. I'll admit that. I went bigger in my size on this than what I usually like to do. But part of the reason why I oversized is that, I was trying to get back some of the losses that I had sustained on Qs and on Meta. And so in order to do that, you have to actually take some risks. Now, everything about trading involves risk. It has to be a calculated risk. You have to take your risks based on evidence that you're seeing. Now, remember, everything in trading, it's like you need evidence. And just like when I stopped out on the Qs and on the Meta, I stopped out because I saw evidence that particular trade was not going to work. And here, this candle right here was the evidence that I predicted would be the thing that was going to make this trade work. So I got in with 10 contracts on the Russell between 9 o'clock. I got 5 contracts right here on this big green candle. And then I got a few more contracts over the next 5 minutes in this little period right here. And then I was closing out my contracts right here between 9:20 and 9:30. And then I closed them out again, this last little push up between 9:45 and 9:47. So I was basically I got in everything right here, closed out some right here, waited for the last little push right here, closed out, and then I was out by my last contract by about 9:50 and then just kind of plateaued for a while, and then it fell out. So it's a good thing that I closed everything, because as I always say, you need to take your profits when you have them, and don't ever get greedy. Don't ever think that because something is going your way that it's going to just continue to go your way forever. Nothing ever moves in one direction forever. So just be very, very precise in your entries, and then be quick to exit when you see that it's time to actually take your profits. And so in this instance, even though I had 2 losing trades earlier in the day, my losing trades totaled about $400. I think it was $350 to $400 in my losses. And then my winning trade on the Russell totaled $829 for an overall 5.17% P&L on the day. So you take, $830 minus like $400. So I made over $400 today, even though I had 2 losing trades. I still made $400, over $400 on the day, putting me on track for that 6-figure yearly income, simply because I just paid attention to the candlesticks, and I was able to read price action, and I was able to get out of my losing trades before I lost too much money, and I was able to spot a winning trade as it was developing and get in and take a little bit of risk and then get out with my profits while I had profits. So as you can see, there's many pieces of the puzzle that you need to put together every day. But if you can put those pieces of the puzzle together day after day, you can be successful. All right, hope you enjoyed that little breakdown. Yeah, it was a good week for me. Another green week, just like always. I think I had one red week like a couple months ago now, and that was the first red week that I had in, I believe, a year. So, it's green weeks every week. And, I'm just going to keep on making these videos whenever I find something that's interesting and a little bit different to talk about that I haven't exactly hit in the same way before. Like I've been saying in my last few videos, I'm still chugging along on my candlesticks course. That's going to be coming out very soon, so keep an eye out for that. And until next time, hope you all have a great weekend, and good luck next week. Take care, everybody.